Good morning, everybody. Again, my name is Kevin Shomette. I'm with EOG Resources, and I'm here today to talk about pollinator habitat on oil and gas right-of-ways. First of all, I'd like to thank Texan by Nature for hosting this great event, and thank you for the opportunity to come talk about this project. So a little bit about who we are, who's EOG Resources. We're an oil and gas company focused on drilling, completing, producing, and transporting crude oil and natural gas. We're based out of Houston, Texas. We have 7 division offices throughout the lower 48. 4 of those are in the state of Texas, and I represent and support the San Antonio division where we support the Eagle Ford Shale. And we operate in 9 counties throughout South Texas. So what's this project all about? It's really started off as a primary partnership between EOG and Texan by Nature. There's other parties involved, additional partners. Probably the most important are our private landowners who we work with, the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation, the Stillwater Foundation, our EOG seeding contractor, our vendor that we use for planning, the seed supplier that we use, and Texas Parks and Wildlife Department. So we're seeding oil and gas sites to increase native plant species and increase desired habitat. And that's primarily for pollinators and primarily for the monarch butterfly. However, there's other added benefit to other wildlife species as well. A little bit more on just the project. We have identified native plant seeding sites for this project, this specific project. We have a commitment of 350 acres. Our opportunities are at our well sites where we downsize well sites, and I'll show you on the next slide what that's all about. And then pipeline right-of-ways, when we lay pipelines and flow lines and go to revegetate and reseed those sites. So. Engagement with private landowners. We really use our land department, our landmen, and our operations teams who have those working relationships with the landowners. We lean on them heavily. We're looking for landowners who are primarily wildlife management oriented and are open to some cattle restrictions and grazing restrictions. As we've seen, you really need to rest these areas after they're seeded for some time to let the growth start. And then probably one of the key things for engagement with the landowners is with the help of Texan by Nature, we came up with and developed a project information sheet, and it's like a 2-page document that we have to where we can take this document, go sit down and visit with the landowner, share this information on this kind of project summary, and it just explain to them what this is all about. And then the last component of the project is just the implementation industry-wide within the oil and gas industry, and it's something that we're certainly willing to, towards the end of this, share our experiences with our peer companies. So this slide here, I just wanted to show kind of the scale of a well pad, and you can see the image to the right. That's a well pad there, kind of the lower, you can see where it's been reclaimed. So what happens, the image to the right and the lower image on the left is of the same pad, and then the upper left image is of it's actually an adjacent pad just down the road from this pad. Anyway, so this really shows the image on the upper left. That's a satellite image of a drilling operation, and I just wanted to show how big of a pad it takes to drill and complete these wells. However, once we're finished with those operations, we're able to downsize that well pad for normal production operations. And you can see that image on the right where you can see where we've downsized that pad. And then the lower left image is where we've seeded. You can see the left half of that image is of the well pad, and the right half is of the area that we reseeded. So once we're done with drilling and completion, we can really shrink these down. We get about 3 to 4 acres of downsized area, and that's really one of the biggest opportunities for this project. So what are we planning? So, and what's the planning process? You can see there the image of the seed mix. That's really the only thing that we changed in our whole planning process when we go to revegetate these sites. We use the same seed supplier that we use for other projects. We use the same planting vendor. One of our vendors that we use for reseeding sites routinely. The equipment's the same. We didn't have to go out and buy any new equipment or spend money on additional equipment for this. Really, it's just the seed mix that's changed. So one challenge that we've had is the planning schedule, and there's a couple of variables that we have to kind of work through, and probably one of the toughest is our operation schedule. We work around our operations, and in the oil and gas industry, the operational schedules change. Ours change daily, if not weekly, for sure. So seizing the moment, really, whenever operations is ready to go seed these sites, we need to be prepared to do the same and do that service. So, and then just the priority, we have a couple of different planning vendors, and they have certain schedules and certain priorities as well from operations as to which sites they want to do first. So just kind of scheduling with them as well. And then obviously the weather, trying to plan around when it's not raining, and we do plant year round. So our seed mix, what are we actually planting? So I'm not going to go through all of the three mixes, but what we did do is came up with 3 different mixes based on geography of our field in South Texas, and we just labeled them kind of west, central, and east. And they were developed based on soil type, rainfall, etc., just the different variables within those geographic areas. Another thing that we've done is tried to be very flexible with the landowner. Let's say we have a landowner that's very interested in quail. We'll try to incorporate that part of that seed mix, bump that portion up to try to generate more habitat for quail as well. So. And it was really developed through a collaboration by Matt Wagner with Texan by Nature, worked with the seed supplier and also our planting vendor to develop these lists. So some results here. This was a well pad that we planted back in March of this year. It's down in McMullen County. We went out and visited this site last month and saw very positive results. You can see the image there. The top image was taken right after it was seeded. And the bottom image was taken last month when we were out there for a site visit. Very positive results, mostly planted species, the seed mix that we put down. There was some existing species coming back, but very limited invasive species were noted. So overall, very positive results at that site. This site's just down the road, I'd say maybe within a mile from the last well pad site. This is a pipeline right away that we planted, and a little bit different story here. Same scenario, McMullen County planted in March of this year, went out and to take a look at it last month, and really saw more mixed results. A lot of the existing species, namely Kleingrass that had already been planted there years ago, was coming back and kind of taking that site back over, and we really didn't see many of our planted species. So this image here, and it might be a little bit difficult to kind of see, but I wanted to point out each one of those lines is pointed at a dot, and each dot represents a seeded site throughout our field. And you can kind of see up towards the north, you can see the city of San Antonio up at the top of the image, and then our field kind of goes from west at Cotulla up to the northeast to Gonzales. So 14 seeded sites so far year to date on 7 different landowners' properties, and we've seeded in 3 different counties so far. And I really want to highlight that it's taken 6 of our EOG land reps to work with these landowners and get them bought into this process and this project. So team engagement, and I'm seeing a trend here with the previous presentations on how do you engage landowners, how do you engage the team, and I think this image here on the left, really, that photo really tells a story of team engagement. So this was at a site visit in Gonzales County last month. The gentleman there in the white is one of our landowners down in that area, and he met with us out there to kind of see how this project's going, and he's been like super engaged and super involved. He actually had EOG come out to his place. His wife and he hosted myself and some other EOG reps for a lunch just to learn this project and learn more about it. Anyway, so we met with him. We've got, from the engagement side of it, you've got Texan by Nature there, reps from Texan by Nature, and you have EOG there as well. Myself was there, and the gentleman in the gray jacket is one of our land guys, one of our land reps that works with these landowners day in and day out. So, furthermore, the image to the right, this site, this is the same site we're visiting there. You can see the well pad kind of in the background. This site was a site that we had seeded this year, and this gentleman, this landowner, had cattle in this pasture, and he didn't want to move the cattle out. So he came up with, at his expense and his cost, he came up with the idea to add this temporary electric fencing to try to keep the cattle off the property. So it just shows you how much he's involved and how interested he is in this project to kind of spend his own money and make it better. So key takeaways, I guess if there's one thing that you take away from this and one thing that could help you if you're interested in this project is that landowner engagement and how do you get them more involved. We'll continue to identify new sites and work towards our 350 acre goal. Really lean on your land team and your operations teams because they have those existing relationships with the landowners, and again the 1 or 2 pager information sheet was really beneficial for us. So again, the wildlife management oriented landowners, we really do search for those that are really passionate about the benefits of this project and the benefits of wildlife management. Be flexible with the seed mixes. If you have a landowner that wants something specific, it's all about the native mix, right? But we've been flexible to where we've added and taken away different seeds depending on the landowner needs. So we had a lunch and learn with the Texas Parks and Wildlife. We had, about probably a dozen or so of their wildlife biologists. We hosted them to just kind of educate them on this project. And we did that because we found by talking to our landowners, they have those relationships with those biologists already. So just trying to expand the network of this project to where the landowners have just another kind of a third party interest from the Parks and Wildlife. And we think we can do the same. There's opportunity there with the NRCS and possibly the county extension agents to do the same and kind of educate them on what we're doing and what this project is all about. So, we've tried to be very upfront and explain the added benefit to landowners about this project and about, the benefit to the monarch and the benefit to wildlife. So I think that's very important. And then maybe the next step that we're going to look at doing next year is kind of have a landowner workshop where we have a landowner host other landowners in the area and explain their experience with this project. So from a business approach, you really have to have that operations buy-in. We're kind of at their mercy on this, and having the operations support and the land department support is critical to make this successful. So, and then aligning those schedules within operations to when it's time to plant, you have that opportunity to go ahead and go for it. So, we're certainly focused on the economics, and we're trying to see how we can make this even more cost effective. And if so, hopefully there's an opportunity there to share this within our organization and our other assets. And then I've learned specifically to focus on the long-term project. This isn't something that you plant and then like 3 months later you see results, right? You got to have patience and really just wait for the rainfall. The rainfall is key, right? So And then the last component there is just industry awareness, and we're certainly open to sharing our experiences and our lessons learned through this project with the industry and our peer companies. And Texan by Nature is doing a great job. They're coming out to the sites 2 or 3 times a year to document what the results are, whether they're favorable or not, but still documenting the facts. And then they're going to prepare a final case study once this project is done to share this information. So. And then lastly here, it's certainly a team effort, and I just want to recognize these. I won't run through all the names, but I just want to recognize everyone, and probably the most important team member is that landowner, right? Because they're the ones that you really have to get the buy-in from to make this work. So, and that last bullet down there, Amy Snellgrove made this comment here recently about this project, and it's just that the future's bigger than one site or a 350 acre for this project moving forward. And with the collaboration and that team effort, team environment, there's huge growth potential, and I truly believe that. So thank you guys for your time and attention.